the African Democratic Congress. The presidential candidate of the ADC, Dumebi Kachikwu, has denied allegations of tax fraud in the United States and others peddled against him by his political opponents. Kachikwu says the allegations of tax evasion are untrue and politically motivated after his emergence as a presidential candidate. Now, the candidate says the allegations were propagated by his political opponents who are unhappy with his victory at the ADC presidential primary. Kachikwu asked supporters to ignore online reports that the U.S. government had indicted him for tax evasion running into millions of dollars. He said he was the one who reported the former congressman to the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission during the crisis that happened some years ago within Nigeria here. And the ADC's presidential primaries, there were issues that arose during that primary, issues of alleged voter inducement and defections, as well as other issues that eventually led to the exit of people like Professor Kingsley Moghalu, who was the former presidential candidate of the party. And for more on this, I'm now being joined gladly by Dumebi Kachikwu, who is the presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress. And so good to have you here finally. Should we begin by saying that your emergence actually led to some of these allegations because you weren't given an opportunity? And what's your relationship with Kingsley Moghalu like?
I spoke to Moghalu once, I think once or twice after the primaries, and I haven't spoken to him since then. I understand that he's pretty much focused on his next steps. You know, I believe someone mentioned that he issued a statement yesterday saying he will not be part of the 2023 political journey anymore. But I spoke to him, I believe, once or twice.
We've seen him exiting the party and saying that the process that brought you out as the presidential candidate was not credible, and then he even accused the national chairman of compromising lots of persons and accusing, even looks like he was accusing you of compromising delegates because he kept mentioning that there were issues of voter delegates inducement, if we may say it that way. Absolutely
nothing like that. I believe that the ADC conducted primaries that was free and fair. I do understand that some aspirants try to induce voters. On my part, I certainly didn't induce any voter. But you always understand that in any political process, there will be winners and there will be losers. And some people have sportsmanlike conduct when they lose, some others don't. And you always see that. But as a candidate of the ADC, I'm primarily focused now on delivering what I promised to those who voted me in. I want to represent my party credibly. I want to provide solutions to the myriad of problems we have in Nigeria. And that's been my focus. I try not to be distracted by all the things that throw at me. It's expected in every political process. But right now,
when someone brings an allegation of such a huge quantum of corruption, alleged corruption against you, you're not bothered about those?
Yeah, so you have to understand that you have to know yourself. So what happens, how I look at it is this. They keep me in the news. Politically, when you're in the news, good or bad, you're out there. People know about you, people hear about you. So I keep on saying thank you to them because each time they put me in the news. On the other side, everyone knows that those are totally untrue. It's out there on the internet. Where they mentioned a congressman. A congressman tried to dupe my company. I promptly reported to the EFCC here and to the FBI. He was arrested. He went to jail. That's what happened with that. On the issue of tax fraud, the court case that decided it was very, very clear. I was assessed additional taxes of almost $10 million. I reduced that to about $2 million. I allowed them to enter into a judgment. At the point of collection, you further negotiate. That's that. And I'm just wondering, why will my tax issues be a topic in election season? When
I don't think you've been reading what's been happening to people like Tinubu and Peter Obi or even
tell you what, you know what? I won't allow that to happen in this election season as far as I'm a candidate in this process. Nigerians must
you stop that?
No, tell you what, I will always direct the questions to the right issues. Nigerians must focus on what the issues are. Nigeria is failing as a country. In just the last 2-3 days, we saw a couple of priests being killed. I didn't see that making news. I didn't see Nigerians responding the way I expected them to respond. We are failing miserably. And so we should not allow people make this about Tinubu and Tinubu certificate article, being a citizen. No, let's have those people address our sundry issues in Nigeria. That's what this election season should be about. We will not make the mistakes we made in the past election seasons where we just talk about non-issues. We have to stick to the issues in this election season.
Of whether there's NEPA bill or certificates.
As that we have focused on the issues. Nigeria is a poor country. We're totally indebted. Our people are suffering. People cannot eat. People are committing all sorts of crimes. We're exporting Yahoo, importing terrorism. Our students are at home. That's what we need to address.
Let's start from that issue of education. If you were president, for example, how will you solve the lingering ASU crisis, which has been on for over 40 years?
I will make everyone a part of that process. So I keep on saying this. My first interaction with the National Assembly next year will be sending a bill I call the National Nigerian Patriot Act. It's a bill that says we're all in this together. It says that if you're a public servant, a civil servant, or a director of a company that derives its operation from a license issued by the government, you and your family have to use public schools. You have to use public hospitals. You won't have a generator in your house or a borehole. If you travel within Nigeria, unless it's an emergency, you only go by road. You need to experience our roads to know what you do about our roads.
Wouldn't that be tested in court, considering that people have their fundamental human rights?
It's a part of democracy to test everything in court. But like I said, it's going to be a law that I will make sure it's passed. I will encourage the National Assembly. We have to use means that are different from everything we've tried. Only the poor are suffering in Nigeria. The cost of diesel is about 800 naira right now. The middle class has been wiped out of Nigeria. It's been totally wiped out. The middle class is the engine room of every society. It's non-existent in Nigeria. We just have the very rich and the poor and the very, very poor. We need to address these issues now.
Yeah, do you think the APC-led federal government is becoming too comfortable with all this because we haven't seen so much action to address these issues? I mean, the issues of high cost of petroleum products is there, but it looks like, I mean, the government is just so comfortable with these issues.
It's very simple. You can't give what you don't have. I actually feel sorry for them. They are in a situation where they can't give what they don't have. They've done their best.
Is it not because you in the opposition are not doing what you're supposed to do to put them on their toes?
So all we need to do at this point as the opposition is to present ourselves to the electorate, which is what we're doing now. Unfortunately, we're in a time where most people believe that Nigeria won't even make it to December. We see things are getting worse. Security is worse. Economy is collapsing. On all fronts, Nigeria is bleeding, right? So many people feel we won't make it to December. But we are praying that we just get there so that the electorate have a chance to take Nigeria in a different direction. But you have to understand that the electorate still has this affinity to these people. We have the Nigerian syndrome or the Stockholm syndrome. People still have this affinity. It's PDP and APC, they know. They weaponize.
That's because your parties like yours, the ADC, isn't selling itself to a lot of Nigerians.
I am here in front of you selling myself to Nigerians. That's why I'm here, right? You know, we're selling ourselves. You have to understand it's a gradual process. Thankfully, we have about 8 months. 8 months to sell ourselves. You see, I'm a candidate who, I'm not sending spokespeople. I'm not sending a spokesman to come and speak for me. I'll come and articulate my position. I will write my policy papers. I will go to every local government in Nigeria myself and sell myself to the electorate. Nigerians will know that if next year they decide to go in that direction, continue in the same direction, they know they cannot blame anybody. They will know they have seen me, they have heard me. So if they choose to go in that direction, you cannot complain and say, government is not working for me.
Yeah, some of them may actually say that you're city-based, they haven't seen you, or the ADC doesn't have structures across the country so much.
The ADC has structures.
Tell us about the structures that the ADC has.
ADC, the third largest party in Nigeria, has structures across the country. But you must also understand that structures, that's one acronym, one word that better known parties use to deceive the public. What does structure mean? The structure, you have two structures. One is the aspirations of politicians who create structures to run their politics, and then the real structure is the people. The power belongs to the people. They determine who leads them, and next year they have another opportunity to determine which direction they will go. Hopefully they understand that there's a Dumebi Kachikwu who has come. They will have heard from me. I will take any interview. I will speak everywhere. I will go everywhere. I will let them know what the issues are, and I will proffer the solutions. They will see very clearly. It's not an election season where people will come and talk, oh, Buhari has failed. Yes, Buhari has failed. We know Buhari has failed. What is the solution?
Yeah, and that's what I'm asking now. What's the alternative the ADC and Dumebi Kachikwu are offering, especially in the economy? What will it do to remove Nigerians out of this economic
It's very simple. The greatest challenge, we have over 40 million people who are unemployed. We have to get those people working. We have to look at all the areas where we can get them working. Be it in agriculture, we need to take agriculture from subsistence farming into agripreneurship. People have to feel a sense of pride in what they are doing in farming. A lot of people feel farming is for the poor people. Farmers are some of the richest people in the world. So in the farming sector, take it agripreneurship, train these people, give them the tools that they need to work, and also give them the processing facilities close to them so that they don't have their goods perish next day. We need to take them, we need to guarantee to offtake their produce. We need to enter social sectors where Nigeria, we have Nollywood, we have our music industry doing well. We have people that can drive jobs in Nigeria. You have simple things like the internet. That's not affordable. The internet should be a right. It should not be a privilege. Imagine an architect who's gone to school for 4 years. He's out there looking for a job. If he could afford good internet service, he can sell his architectural services to any part of the world. I buy architectural services from all over the world. I buy interior service from all over the world. I don't know these people. Indian economy is built on people selling services from the comfort of their homes. Why can't we do this in Nigeria? Internet is only for people like you and I who can afford it. Even, can we really afford it? No, it's expensive in Nigeria. We look at the ports, for example. In the last 6 months, this government, in the midst of the economic woes, they increased custom duties across the board by over 50%. Is that not crazy? Further wiping out the middle class. Young people who are trying to start businesses are not able to start businesses. You've increased cost of clearing goods. It adds to the inflation in society. They say they are combating inflation, but they are adding to inflation.
Now let's talk about the oil industry in Nigeria. I'm alarmed by the way the international oil companies are leaving the country, and although we've seen a boost in domestic investors trying to invest within the industry, but how do we try to move away from dependence on the oil that we've always been dependent upon? How do we try to build a new economy, work towards, for example, boosting our GDP from about $400 to $500 billion to about $1 trillion?
It's very easy. So you can't blame the oil companies for leaving Nigeria. Anyone will leave at a time like this. They have no vested interest, right? They are not citizens, which is why we ought to have ensured that our citizens controlled enough capacity in that sector so that no one can wake up one day and leave, right? Our citizens should be able to dominate that sector. For decades, we've known we have oil here. Our citizens should have enough capacity to dominate that industry. But at the same time, we are looking at Nigeria beyond oil. Fly across Nigeria. When you look down, gosh, fertile land. We can actually feed the world. It's so painful that people can't feed in Nigeria where you have so much fertile land.
Yeah,
but tell you what,
mean, how do you do that when there's
insecurity?
Again,
that's why when people say to me, ask me questions like, okay, what will be your hot button issue that you deal with? All the issues are important. You have to address them all. We have Nigerian professionals, we have people who have the talent who can join me in this rescue mission to ensure that at the same time we're addressing all these issues. Address security. Security is a function of the body language of the CNC. We have people who believe that the CNC is not really interested in this, right? That he's not shown enough commitment.
So what are the reforms you're proposing, for example?
First of all, trust me, tell you what, right? Those people out there who are doing this, they know there's a Dumebi Kachikwu who is going to come and ensure that it ends immediately. They know I'm not going to tolerate that rubbish they are doing. I will avenge the life of every Nigerian. You will not take the life of my military men or civilians, and I'll keep quiet and be watching and saying, issuing tepid statements all the time saying, oh, no. You will know that there's a new sheriff in town. I'll go after these people. My borders will be secure. My highways will be secure. People will be armed. You can't let people just come and plunder people, rape our women. That's not going to happen under my watch.
And I'm interested in knowing your position when a state governor,
I support the governor. Tell you what, you know what? I've gone to climes where they are at war, right? Every able-bodied man, woman should be armed to fight this war. War is a patriotic duty. Citizens have got to fight for their nation.
Well, how do you ensure that criminality doesn't come into
so in a time of war, you conscript people, right? That's why I said able-bodied men and women should be conscripted into the armed forces to fight this war. We still remain about 1.5 to 2 million men strong. We need to bring at least an additional 1 million men and women into this fight to be able.
Where will you get the monies to pay them?
to tell you what, hey, listen.
As we try to round off the conversation.
Tell you what, right? Nigeria, if managed properly, can afford to pay its bills. If our resources, if not stolen, is enough for us to pay our bills. We keep on spending in the wrong direction. If we spend in the right direction, we can pay 1 million people. Once we plug the hole of security, our economy will improve. So we have to do that spending. We can't be borrowing to buy equipment for the armed forces, yet we can't give them diesel or petrol for their vehicles.
Now, what will you do about the welfare of our security services? Because some have said that if we take care of those we have very well and invest so much in technology, that we could actually resolve this issue. That
it's not just about. It's not just about the. It's not just about our men and women. It's across the board. It's a shame that the minimum wage in Nigeria is about 30,000 naira. We don't pay well in Nigeria, but we expect a decent output. That's wrong. Our very system is corrupt. We cheat everybody. The government starts by cheating its people, right? So we cheat everybody in Nigeria.
There's trust deficit.
Yes, because they know if you've employed someone, you're paying someone 30,000 naira in this day and age, you're cheating the person. We all know that. We say nothing about it. So what do you expect from these people? So we need to address that.
So what will you propose as a national minimum wage under a government?
Tell you what, in Nigeria, nobody should be earning a minimum wage less than 150,000 naira. We all know that.
150,000? With the large bureaucracy we have, where will you get the money to
tell you what, you know what, tell you something. We have a large bureaucracy, but we need to channel them to be more efficient. So I will take out a lot of those people who are in the civil service doing nothing, who just go to work to drink tea. I'll take them and put them in farm parks. Get them to work for what they earn. Pay them better. Let them know that you go here, you even earn better.
Okay, unfortunately, we don't have enough time. This is what we have for now, but just quickly, when we see political parties being mentioned and political candidates, we hear Peter Obi, we hear Atiku, Tinubu, and maybe Kwankwan. So how come we don't hear of the ADC and you? And do you usually feel bad when such analyses are made without you being
tell you what, absolutely not. This is a long distance race, right? It's a long distance race. So it's not about what you see happening now. There are some people you see flash in the pan. Right. Next month or so, they will fizzle out. It's a long distance race. My job at this point is to build my party structures down the line and get out there in the field.
Thank you so much, Dumebi.
Thanks for having me.
He's a candidate, presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, and of course he has cleared the air on some of the controversies and allegations within that party, and of course his emergence as the presidential candidate of the party, and then of course his vision for Nigeria. Well, we wish you all the best as we head towards the polls. Thank you so much for being with us. Well, that's how it's been for this edition of the Arise interview. Do join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Somna Sambu.